Take a look at these photos out of Mulberry in Crawford County. A bunch of trees uprooted across town. City leaders say straight line winds snapped limbs and knocked out power early this morning. 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi is in Mulberry tonight. We'll hear from him in just a little bit. But the threat of more storms isn't over just yet. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Rachel Williams. Here with meteorologist Stephen Elmore. Stephen, you're tracking the chance for more severe storms overnight.
Yeah, by the time we get in here in the next couple of hours, more than likely we're going to increase those rain chances, but maybe even those thunderstorm chances as well. So far, since this morning, throughout most of the day, it's been pretty quiet. Lots of cloud coverage, but those rain chances have just stayed off towards our west. It still looks to be the case as we're just after 10 p.m. now. Looking at radar, mostly quiet across northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. There is parts of eastern Oklahoma into LaFleur and Sequoia County that's seeing a few of those scattered showers, maybe an isolated thunderstorm, but a bulk of the activity is still further off towards the west. When we look at recent trends of what those models have showed, they're starting to hint at that maybe we could see a bulk of this activity remain off towards the west. That doesn't mean that we're out of the clear, but that's just the recent update in the past couple of hours. We take a look at where the most activity has been so far, and it's definitely along that Oklahoma-Texas line where we've had multiple tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings as well. If you follow where that track would eventually move, it's going to be moving up towards the north, but maybe making that northeastern turn as well. So something to follow as we get closer towards that overnight hour into early tomorrow morning. Right now, we've been left out of that watch, that tornado watch. It was just put outside of our viewing area, but the next watch more than likely could at least reach into parts of eastern Oklahoma, if not into the River Valley and northwest Arkansas as well. Again, something we're watching as we progress into the overnight hours. Very important. Have those phones charged up just in case we get that watch, if not some warnings during the overnight hours going into Easter. Futurecast shows us this. Again, that latest updating having the most of that activity further off towards the west. I don't know if I completely believe this. I still think we're going to see some heavy rainfall throughout the night tonight, if not a few of those thunderstorms. We enter into a lull for your morning hours, but by the time we get to the afternoon on your Easter, that's when that cold front's going to arrive. And ahead of that cold front, we're going to see the chances of some strong, maybe even severe storms by the time we get to our Sunday afternoon. And this threat is significantly higher than the threat that we have for tonight. The chances for some strong winds, maybe even some tornadoes for tomorrow afternoon as well. Definitely a possibility. We're going to cover those details coming up in just a bit.
All right, Stephen, thanks. People in Mulberry spent the day cleaning up after strong winds swept through the town early this morning, leaving a path of damage that included downed trees, snapped power lines, and disrupted gas lines. 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi was in Mulberry today as crews continued to clear debris and restore power after the storm.
The owner of this house in Mulberry, who did not want to be on camera, tells me he was inside around 8 Saturday morning when a tree fell right on top of his property. In front of his house, utility crews work to restore power.
The Mulberry Fire Department, it looks RDOT's out here, county's out here, Crawford County has assisted as well as Mulberry PD and the Mulberry Public Works Department.
Winds left a path of damage from around Highway 64 straight through Pleasant Hill Road. Damaged structures, gas lines uprooted by trees, and snapped power lines were scenes Mulberry residents were left with.
At the time, I was awake at my house, which is only about a half a block down the road. We had really strong winds. At one point, we could hear the roof kind of make an odd noise.
People also spent Saturday clearing damage at a local cemetery, many simply lending a hand to help their community.
Thank you for anybody who came out with their own chainsaws, just came out, helped trim, clear out limbs, checked on neighbors. Like I said, there's a lot of that going on, just checking on neighbors. And just a quick response from our guys, the water department, sewer department, all those guys trimming the trees, trying to get all the roadways cleared so the police and emergency vehicles can get down through there. I just say keep up the good work.
Mulberry police tells 5 News that despite the damage, there have been no reported injuries. In Mulberry, covering news where you live, Jacob Luthi, 5 News.
Well, check this out. These power line poles were snapped along Sunset Avenue after the storms blew through Springdale. At one point, power was knocked out for thousands, but power crews have been working hard today to get the lights back on for thousands. At this point, only 230 customers are without power across the state. And all the rain is also leading to flooding concerns. All of our area is under a flood watch until tomorrow night. You were just taking a look at a Spring Creek near Cave Springs along Highway 112. The rising water is leading the county to shut down some roads like Dixon, Pierce, and Pearl Road just north of Centerton are closed due to high water. We also got a ton of video and pictures from you guys last night. This is video along Sunset when the storms were moving through, and this big oak tree that was splintered after being struck by lightning. And we appreciate all the photos you guys send us. Remember, you can always text them straight to the number that's right there on your screen, 479-785-5000. And also remember, you can always track the rain and storms where you live with our free 5 News app. All you have to do is search for KFSM in your app store. Tonight, reflections 30 years after the devastating bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. On April 19, 1995, 168 people were killed in the deadliest act of domestic terrorism in U.S. history. This morning, Oklahoma City and the nation honored the lives lost in a ceremony remembering the victims of the attack, including 5 from our area. Mark Bolte, Rebecca Needham, Teresa Alexander, Renata Woodbridge, and Wanda Watkins all have ties to our area. Those 5, along with the 163 victims, were honored in a ceremony today. The auditorium at First Church in Oklahoma was packed this morning. Every seat was filled with people in the lines around the auditorium for the ceremony honoring 30 years since the attack. The crowd heard touching musical performances and speeches from families, along with past and present Oklahoma City leaders and national leaders, including former President Bill Clinton.
I still remember as if it were 30 minutes ago, coming here with Hillary to that memorial service and saying, "You have lost too much, but you have not lost everything. You have certainly not lost America, and we will be with you for as many tomorrows as it takes." I do think we kept that commitment. Lord knows we tried.
The Bowers family lost their loved one in the attack and comes to the memorial every year on this day. They say this year's ceremony was deeply meaningful.
The turnout was huge this year, and that speaks volumes to how our generation's not forgetting. We're still remembering, we're still honoring, and we can't wait to see her someday.
As the years go on, countless people like the Bowers say they continue to work to make sure the world never forgets. If you want to watch more from today's ceremony, just head on over to 5newsonline.com. We have those speeches along with stories from those who went into the Oklahoma City to help in the days following the attack on our homepage. Well, classes will resume Monday at Florida State University following Thursday's shooting. 2 people were killed there and 5 others hurt when a gunman opened fire near the student union. Katie Wise is in Tallahassee, where she's hearing from the FSU president.
It was pretty terrifying. We were on lockdown. The FSU police were the ones that took care of the shooter. We were so proud of what they did, because it could have been so much worse.
FSU President Richard McCullough says the university is setting up resources for the victims of Thursday's mass shooting. The gunman injured 5 people and killed 2 men working on campus.
And it's overwhelming because I feel a responsibility to keep everybody safe, as part of my job.
A memorial on the FSU campus grows by the day. Police say the accused gunman, 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, sustained significant injuries during a shootout with officers and will likely be in the hospital for some time before he can be criminally charged.
At this point, there does not appear to be any connection at all between the shooter and any of the victims.
As investigators gather more evidence, the community begins the tough task of trying to heal.
How do you feel that living through something like this changes how you lead moving forward?
It's unfortunate this is becoming more commonplace, but we're strong and we'll work through it together.
Now, police say the suspect used a handgun that belonged to his stepmom. She's a local county sheriff's deputy who is now on personal leave. I'm Katie Weiss, CBS News, Tallahassee, Florida.
Leaders from Iran and the U.S. plan to meet over the country's rapidly advancing nuclear program again. Officials say both sides made progress in their talks today in Rome. A U.S. official confirmed that at a point during the negotiations today, President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and Iran's foreign minister spoke face to face. They plan to meet again next Saturday. Pope Francis making a surprise visit in St. Peter's Basilica just ahead of Easter. He was seen using a wheelchair and to pray and to express closeness to the faithful who will celebrate the Easter Vigil. It's the latest in a string of surprise appearances for an 88-year-old under strict doctor's orders to avoid mingling with the public. He's still recovering after a lengthy hospital stay for pneumonia. Since his discharge from the hospital in late March, the Pope has shown he does not want to be confined to his room. He is undergoing daily physiotherapy as he tries to recover his voice and has access to round-the-clock medical care.
Pope Francis is like the cat with 9 lives. He bounces back. He has enormous fortitude. He has enormous perseverance, but he wants to be one with the people.
On Easter Sunday, the Pope normally gives his to the city and to the world blessing and address. Today, the Vatican said that the Pope hopes to be present for that blessing at the end of the Mass.